today. All right. First and
My pleasure.
foremost, Fat Joe versus the FBA. You know, he called the FBA a bunch of broke N-words and said that they were radical racists. And this comes from, Fat Joe's been saying for the longest time that hip hop was created by blacks and Puerto Ricans 50-50. The FBA has been pushing back on that, saying that, no, this is created and found by foundational Black Americans, and Puerto Ricans and other Latinos have contributed along the way, but they were not the inventors, right? So that's the reason why Fat Joe is upset. What did you think about that?
I mean, like, I had this conversation with Ralph McDaniels back in like 2017. And from people that were around at the time, it's really hard to pinpoint and tell who exactly made up hip hop, because was not created by one person. It's
right.
It's a whole energy that takes place that people start to contribute to. It's a pot, and they put there, and then next thing you know, it becomes an organization, and people start to, group themselves into this thing, and that's how it begins to grow. So, when I sat there with Ralph McDaniels, Video Music Box, he agreed that it was a combination of, multi different people, putting in their 2 cents. He was like, when they were doing what they was doing in the Bronx, Joe Bataan was taking kids into the studio in Spanish Harlem and having them rap on top of Latin soul. This is actually why I call hip hop the bastard child of Latin music, because sonically, what they were hearing in the streets of New York City at the time came from that Latin music. Boogaloo was the combination, the fusion of R&B and soul and Latin rhythms coming together. And this is where I believe hip hop stemmed from. The problem with Boogaloo is that genre was pretty much deaded, because the guys at Fania, when all these Boogaloo bands, these young kids were starting to take gigs, they would take gigs for cheaper than the other salsa bands. So they started to kind of screw up the market. The guys at Fania got jealous, started blacklisting the bands, and the genre just kind of died out. And then from there, that was the late 60s, right? Then from there, and it had lived its time during the 70s. Then from there, hip hop literally is the rising of the ashes from that. And early hip hop, you hear a lot of percussion in there. You hear, certain rhythms, certain sounds, and it's just a melting pot.
Because what people are saying is, like, these elements existed prior to, how they say that hip hop was created in 1973. Like, that's really more of like the unification of the elements, right? Like, people are saying that this, all these elements had existed previously, breakdancing, graffiti, but it wasn't until that time that they really called it.
We're talking for hundreds, maybe thousands of years that they've existed. So everybody wants to be the originator and the creator of something. You know what I mean? But we're all just influenced by something greater.
So are you saying that you agree with Fat Joe that it was 50-50? Or you're just saying you're not sure?
I mean, I'm not gonna put out any numbers. I know, and from the conversations that I've had from just studying the history of the music, from studying Latin music into hip hop, from mambo to hip hop, if you study all of that, you hear the sounds, you're musically in tune.
She's a bird. I mean, don't know what she's talking about. Don't let her play it. This is just painful to even hear. I will be going live tonight. Me and Trell Jackson gonna be live. Make sure y'all tune in. We're gonna discuss a lot on FBA business. Definitely y'all tap in with us, man. I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace and love.